How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the James Lab Podcast. And today our special guest is Erich from Flow Gardens in Tennessee. How are you doing, Erich?
Doing great, James. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. This is the first time we get to meet in person. We've talked a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you're an ambassador for the brand. You're growing our genetics in Tennessee. You're doing the hemp license thing and doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Doing the best we can in a state where it's still illegal to grow, marijuana. So.
Yeah, it looks like you're growing some. It doesn't even look like. I've seen your flower. You've sent me flower. THCA flower is phenomenal. You sent me some chem cross that was just super amazing. And I love seeing gassy stuff because like a lot of people don't grow gas these days.
I know. I fell in love with that strain. I actually brought some more for you today.
Yeah.
It's a Chem 91 cross with Sour Bubble. We named it Chem Trails. And that when it was like day 20 of flower, it was already stinking up the tent, so it's definitely one of my favorites right now.
It's got that foul chem
It
smell.
does. The one you just have to keep on smelling, even though it's so bad.
Not everybody likes it. And it's like one of those ones to where like, if you don't like it, that's okay because I like it. It's
exactly.
like one of those ones. It's something that's super nostalgic for me that I grew up on that smell. And I like, it just reminds me of the year 2000.
Yeah.
Year 2001, Chem Dog when it was first hitting the market. And it's like not OG. It's got that chemi gas where it's like a little bit foul, but really loud, where like a jar of it, you open it up and it really burns your nostril.
Exactly. Like you can't pinpoint the exact flavor, but I like to describe like it smells like the 90s, like the way I used to get back in the 90s.
I love that. And then you've grown some of my genetics. You've done some really cool work with ours with the Mystic Mountain Blueberry, which I haven't got to try yet, but the pictures, the pictures sell it. It looks great.
So I'm growing that actually in the backyard in my little shop. I got a 6 lighter back there. And that particular pheno just checked all the boxes. And I'll be harvesting, I think, in about a week. Nice. So when that's ready to go, I'll definitely send some your way. Yeah,
we just had Humboldt Seeds on the show. And so I'm glad you got that. I'm excited to show them the flower because I feel like the blueberry muffin is extremely special. I think that if you get something that's not blueberry muffin that has some of the blueberry muffin in it, but it's different, that's a great thing because like blueberry muffin is its own thing. And it's basically... It set some really cool trends up in Humboldt, especially with it. Well, so we had DJ Short's blueberry originally, right? And I think that got widespread. There was other blueberries too, but then the blueberry muffin is very blueberry muffin.
Oh yeah.
Like you smell blueberry muffin, it smells like straight blueberry muffin.
Yeah, almost like a rotten blueberry or something.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's like, it's super sweet. The structure of it's good. It's got nice color. It checks a lot of the boxes.
Yeah. This one has a lot of the blueberry, but it also has like a creamy, I guess it's coming from the double lemon cherry, maybe. Overtones.
The gas and the bread, a little bread.
It's got a little bit of everything. Yeah, it's special for sure. I'll tell you what though, the Permanent Midnight, those are probably one of my favorites right now. Every pheno is just phenomenal in its own way. Yeah. I brought some today. I want you to try it.
I can't wait.
It's literally been my smoke that I've been smoking on for a couple of weeks now.
We've been getting a lot of praise for the Permanent Midnight. I think it's just when you put two good things together, usually you get good stuff. But when you have so many expressions that are good, that it stands on its own. Oh yeah. There's so many different things that you can look for in it. I think there's something for everybody. And some people, the ones that don't have color, I feel like are pretty loud.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want the purple ones to be the best ones, but sometimes usually that's not the case.
It's not, and it's okay. I think color is like this qualifier right now that I don't think it's going to be there forever. I want the loudest, the one that tastes the best, and also the one that has the best effect.
Exactly.
Color is kind of secondary, although right now it's very prioritized. So
yeah, I think like the flavor, if it can resonate in the smoke, that's the last check box for me. And that's a tough one to get.
It's like when you refire that joint and it tastes amazing.
Exactly.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, especially if it's the roach. Like if it's down to the roach and you're like, I don't know if it's going to taste good or if it's going to taste bad, and you fire it up, you're like, wow. So yeah, we did some sour D we had a while back. That was really amazing. I'm big into sour D. So
I haven't had that in a minute.
Well, if you're around in the next couple of days, I think I'll have some.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of sour D. And
all right, hell yeah.
Fresh batches coming down.
Nice.
So yeah, I like all different flavors. I like stuff that's gassy. I like stuff that's floral. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I love Skittles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but even especially the floral stuff, the old school GDPs, stuff like that, stuff that nobody wants to grow because it takes forever to veg. And
exactly.
It doesn't yield that much. Although GDP has its place for sure.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I'm actually growing one of those right now, cross with Northern Lights number 5.
Nice.
So still early in flower, so we'll see. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that and Bubba Kush. I haven't seen a lot of good Bubba Kush coming back, although Budgelero, Dave Perkins from Budgelero, he's got a really good cross that's very Bubba Kush and very soapy. It's got that soapy character and really strong.
Yeah, that's nice. So. And speaking of that, like I'm trying to bring back the old school in a way. Like we do a lot of Blue Dream right now. That's like one of our biggest sellers. You know, Blue Dream, Durban Poison's another big one, Super Silver Haze. And it seems like our customer base is just going back to that nostalgic feel of cannabis.
And people know those names. And I think there's expectations when you buy Blue Dream. You should expect to get something that's loud too. But it's not what checks the boxes in California, maybe.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, it's not the purple candy gas at all. Right. And it's something that's more uplifting. Sativa, whatever you want to call it. They're longer flowering varieties too.
Yeah.
And there's something special about longer flowering varieties too, especially effect wise, where it's like super functional. You can do anything on Blue Dream.
Exactly.
Like literally you can do anything. Go pass your driver's test on Blue Dream because you drive better.
Yeah. And that's kind of how that Chem 91 cross is. It's just very clear headed, very euphoric in a way.
Yeah. It doesn't get me tight behind the eyes, but it's also, it can be strong if you keep smoking it.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely doesn't have a ceiling like some of these things.
It has a creeper effect. Like you're fine, and then all of a sudden I have trouble talking. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely there.
I like the creeper effect sometimes, but other times where you're not gauging it and you're just in conversation, you're smoking a joint, you just keep hitting it.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, you're like, wow.
Exactly.
So yeah, certain things will get you there. And then Autoflowers have come so far. I'm not sure if you've tapped into the autoflower market at all, but
I haven't really, you know, I mean, our facility is a little like yours where it's a research and development / production in a way. So I don't have a room dedicated to Autoflowers. I've done a little bit in the past, but I really haven't messed with them too much.
Yeah.
Are they getting more stable?
They are getting more stable. I mean, there's a handful of people that produce amazing Autoflowers, and then there's everybody else. And I think it's like that with most things.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Autoflowers, there are people that produce stable Autoflowers that express pretty even across the board. And there's other people, every single plant grows a different size, different shape. You're getting a lot of phenotypical variation.
Right.
And then there's the guys that are growing stuff that's pretty straight across the board, that they're all very similar or almost identical.
Gotcha.
And so over time, you're going to get better and better and better expressions, more even expressions, especially. But a lot of people are focusing on Autoflowers now too. So I'm excited for Autoflowers. I love Autoflowers outdoor. There's a handful of guys that are crushing it indoors. Rue, that I think we met on phone calls before.
Yeah.
He's crushing autos. He does a lot of our testing for autos, and
nice.
Yeah, and he's doing deep water culture. And, you know, he's doing some cool stuff. So,
yeah. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a character.
He loves weed.
Yeah.
He absolutely
definitely.
Loves weed.
Yeah. I guess with me, the Autoflowers, I had a trouble. I didn't even know you had to flower them under 18 hours of light for a minute. And so that was one of my issues. And then I finally figured that out. But yeah, I guess I just struggle with the stability of it in production.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like for you, your market is a little bit different too. Going with autos is kind of a tougher market. But it's one of those things, I feel like we've overlooked them for so long, and now they're starting to get good, and they're not for everybody.
Yeah.
But they definitely have their place.
Exactly.
So they get a lot of hate, you know, but people don't always understand things, and you know, there's a lot of hate on all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, and you're doing breeding now too.
So I just started dabbling about 6 years ago, crossing, and then reading your book has helped me quite a bit, you know, as far as reversing them now. And then I've been selfing some of my better phenos, making seed with those. And then mostly, like, I focus on type 2 flowers, which is like CBD and THC. And so I've been finding like my best, like Chem 91. I just crossed with some of my best CBD plants to make some type 2 seeds. So that's my big focus, is type 2s.
It's a good medical product.
It is. It really is. And for me, I'm a little older, and sometimes the type 1s are too much for me. Those type 2s just hit perfectly, especially during the day. Nice. You know, when I'm trying to get stuff done.
Totally. And CBD is just good for you in general. I feel like I eat CBD. I don't smoke as much CBD as I'd like, but I definitely have been eating a lot of CBD at night.
No, it definitely helps me with sleep. I'll eat 2 gummies before I go to bed.
Inflammation.
Yeah.
For me, it's inflammation.
Exactly.
I take like an antihistamine. Sometimes I take Benadryl, but I don't want to get addicted to Benadryl because I think Benadryl can be very addictive, especially for sleep.
Yeah. I don't like Benadryl because the next day I'm like a zombie, you know?
As long as I get a good sleep, I'm okay with Benadryl.
Yeah.
But CBD, there's never any, like, you don't have any side effects from it. It's always like you feel great.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you just got on a trip to Europe. How was that?
We did. We went out to Cannabis in Prague, and it was amazing. Prague was gorgeous. It was a magical city.
Yeah.
The festival was very nice. Got to meet a lot of seed breeders, some from Italy, some from Switzerland, and a lot of flower people. Got to meet the people that won Cannabis for CBD last year. Really nice guys. But,
nice. Which guy from Norway?
No, they're from Italy. It's called like We Need. Nice. And they spell it weird, like weeds in the middle or something.
Nice.
Yeah, Europe, their branding's real caricature, kind of cartoonish is what I was noticing.
Totally, you can't do that in the States.
No,
you totally can't get away with that in metric, especially, in the US, like California, there's no cartoon, anything like that typically.
They're starting to do that with the hemp side as well.
Yeah.
Like all these they're regulating it with the same stuff, no cartoons, all that. So
no animals,
stuff that appeals no unicorns,
to kids.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, they're behind us in some ways in Europe, and it's interesting because I feel like they're not jaded by the rec that the rec market, all the stuff that's gone on with the Farm Bill. It's still like 10 years ago, and there's people that are still super excited about it. More excited than they are in the States.
Yeah.
So, and I just went to the Caribbean and they're even more excited down there. Like their flower isn't as good as what we typically see in the US, but they love weed. They love cannabis. They love cannabis on a medical level, on a spiritual level, all these things. But they're excited about it. Like
that's awesome.
The smiles on their faces and how excited they are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is pretty amazing.
Hell yeah. That's good stuff. And I have noticed that like in Europe, when I go over there, I feel like, like you said, like 10 years behind in a way as far as maybe genetics, and their laws. Like the laws, we've been shipping flower over now to UK and Switzerland, different countries. They're all different.
Yeah.
Like Switzerland, I think is 1% THC.
I heard Germany just switched to 1% too.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Czech Republic's 1%.
Yeah.
But then you have UK that's like 0.2, which you can't get anything but like a CBG plant in there.
Right.
Very gray area. I kind of compare that to the hemp industry back in maybe 2018.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you look at it almost like a fortune teller. Like I see where that's going. I feel like hopefully it'll take off,
You'll dial it in. I think everybody's kind of dialing their stuff in. The fact that Germany went recreational is
big.
Huge. Yeah. It's just such a big step for everybody. It's like, its impact is so big on countries like the United States that are holding out. It's like, well, Germany's doing it.
Exactly.
I think we really need to reevaluate what we're doing over here on a federal level, especially going. The funny thing is like you can't even go state to state if they're medical, or state to state if they're recreational. So interstate commerce is off the table right now, and it needs to be a big conversation because we have so many medical and so many recreational states that could be working with other states, and there's a lot of money there for these states. And, I think it would add a lot of value to the states that aren't able to produce as much.
Exactly.
And especially places like California and Oregon, where they produce so much more than they can consume.
Exactly. And I think that might be where the hemp industry kind of came in and, now they're shipping it out as THCA.
Right.
And then, but yeah, that does suck that you can't do interstate commerce.
Yeah. Well, I'm just happy I'm focused on genetics and not flowers.
Exactly.
It's like I keep that focus. It's like it's rough being a cultivator in a licensed state right now. Even some of these new ones that are coming online. Some of them they have only a handful of licenses, and that makes it more competitive to a degree. But I think that if we're looking at states, and the future of where it goes, it has to go interstate commerce.
Yeah.
I like the fact that hemp is legal everywhere. Look at Texas. It's their big loophole for having legal flower.
Exactly. And a lot of the East Coast states are that way. Tennessee is one. Kentucky just now went medical. We were looking at getting a license up there.
Yeah.
But the regulations weren't solid, so we kind of backed off that one. But like states like Virginia, North Carolina are just, you can still grow as long as it's under 0.3 Delta 9,
right?
Which we all know doesn't really grow in the plant. So you can get away with a lot more in the hemp industry.
Yeah, there's a lot less oversight for sure.
Yeah.
And just working with people in other states and everything else. You play by the books, you're safe.
I know, yeah. Which is it's really unique. You know, being from Tennessee, I always wanted to do this for a living, you know, and I knew one day I would. Never thought it'd be in this fashion, you know, where we would still be illegal in Tennessee, and I had to move and pivot over to the hemp industry so I could grow, because I've always been an indoor grower.
Right.
And then once I figured out I could grow, you know, CBD plants, the genetics were far enough along.
So you like that Tennessee whiskey too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's super close to us. Actually, Kentucky bourbon's probably a little better for me.
Yeah. I like Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, I've had that.
I mean, I like it all. I don't drink that much alcohol, but I do like good whiskey. I mostly drink mezcal and I drink tequila.
Yep, that's me too. I switched to tequila right 5 years ago.
Getting older, you know, that's what happens.
Exactly.
Before, when I was younger, I drink everything, wine coolers.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Yeah, craft beers, and now it's like all of that gives me headaches.
Yeah, I don't drink any beer, and I love beer. I absolutely love the way it tastes. Yeah, I mean, I was drinking Sierra Nevada and Lagunitas when I was like 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love that stuff.
I used to love Lagunitas. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I worked for the company. I worked for Lagunitas. Yeah, I did all kinds of stuff with Lagunitas. I was a chef and did their beer circus.
Okay.
And so we traveled all around the United States. That was when they were starting to become a bigger company.
Is that when they moved to Chicago and opened up a spot there?
They moved to Chicago. They did some beer circuses out there.
Okay.
We did them in New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, all over.
That had to be a good gig.
It was amazing, flying around with these guys and these performers. And it was like, I did the backstage food.
Nice.
And it was amazing. It was just, it was like disco though. Once it was gone, it was gone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
It was. And in the beginning I volunteered for it. I did it for 10 years.
Okay.
And in the beginning it was a volunteer gig. And I got my chef friends together and we basically went up there and put out food for the volunteers and put out food for the performers. And it was a blast. And it was like, it turned into something where they were like, okay, we got to take care of you. Now that we're with Heineken, it was especially around when Heineken merged with them.
Yeah.
And Heineken acquired them. They decided that they couldn't just allow me to do it for free.
I got you.
And so they had to cover my expenses and all these other things. And it was just a blast. And it was like the company was just accelerating so fast. And then just the energy was so good at these events. It's like a lot of cannabis people too. So.
Yeah, I went up to Petaluma years ago and got to tour the brewery and everything. It was very neat.
Yeah, I mean, they are the most cannabis-centric beer company in existence.
Definitely.
And yeah, big shout out to Tony and Jeremy Marshall and Ron and Jimmy. And those guys we go way back, especially Ron and Jimmy. And it's like the 420 parties at their brewery were always a blast.
Yeah. They had like that pavilion out there where they'd have music and everything.
Oh yeah, and even before that, they had like in basically where they brewed the beer, there was an upstairs area where they had a bar up there, and they had a 420 party the first Tuesday of every month at 420, and yeah, it was always a blast, and we used to smoke a lot back then too.
Yeah,
well, yeah, and good beer. I mean, just really good beer, and I feel like they kind of saw beer how we see cannabis too, like Jeremy Marshall and Tony McGee, they had that vision, as far as like they visualized how we visualized cannabis. They were visualizing beer way back then, way ahead of their time.
That is so cool.
Know? And now everybody kind of sees beer like that. They've got all these different flavors.
Yeah.
It's like just like cannabis, we've got thousands of different flavors.
Exactly.
When it comes to beer, it's like there's also everybody's got their own, micro brew or craft beer.
Do you ever get into like sour beers or anything?
I do. I like sour beers. I like Belgian. I like all kinds of stuff.
Like Gozas. You ever had one of those? Are good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like it all. So it's funny, in the Caribbean, we drink warm Guinness.
Oh, really?
And they make a special extra bitter Guinness for the Caribbean.
Okay.
And you drink it warm. And it's just the thing to do. And it's like, I've been out to the Caribbean, I don't know, a dozen times or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just part of the adventure. It's like, that's what everybody does. I drink warm beer when I'm out in the Caribbean, no problem.
Is it good?
It's not bad. It gets you buzzed pretty quick.
Okay.
But it's also not, actually, I think it's like 7%. the Guinness out there, because regular Guinness I think is 5.
It's like lower, yeah.
So, and then I like traditional beer in Munich. You can't beat the Bavarian ale. You know, all the different beers out in Munich. I've been to Oktoberfest. It's a blast.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I've always wanted to do that. My dad was born in Germany, so it's been on my bucket list. Nice. I think I'm going to go there this year for their, I think it's Mary Jane.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. We're definitely going to Mary Jane, Germany as well. Spanibus. You got to go to Spanibus. Yeah. I'll definitely be there with Strain Hunters and Greenhouse Seed Company.
I think I'm going to enter a couple of the cups in Spanibus this year.
You should.
I might do your Mystic Mountain Blueberry.
You should.
Yeah. I think I am.
Yeah, I would love to promote it out there for you. Yeah, dude, that would be awesome.
I think it has a chance for sure. It's special.
Yeah, you know, the extracts, they've really stepped up, especially Spain, is rosin. Like their rosin's amazing. They have rosin out there that's really, really top shelf. I love rosin too. Mm-hmm. Smoke mostly flower, smoke mostly joints, but also rosin.
Yeah.
Love rosin. And now hash holes. I for a while I was like, nah, I'm not smoking those hash holes. And now it's like I had a surplus of rosin that people have been giving me rosin, so I've been mixing it with joints, and I love it. I love Skittles with different kinds of rosin.
I've never tried a hash hole. I've always wanted to try one of those. I bet they're phenomenal.
Well, the day is young. so yeah, we can totally get into hash holes. It's like, that's one of those things you can go down the rabbit hole with, because it's like pairing flavors. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. And it's like,
that's a good call. Yeah.
I like Skittles because I feel like it's a base candy flavor, and then you can take that and you can put almost anything with it. You can go gas with it. You can go more candy. You can go any direction. You can go, some of these papayas taste amazing with it. The Super Boof Cherry, which is one of my favorite extracts. That stuff tastes great. And it's like a little bit of tangy rind, but also cherry and all these other flavors. And it's just really loud.
Nice.
And I love it. I got some bubble left over from the Dabadoo. Very small amount.
Heck yeah.
I think I got like a half a gram, but those make some great hash holes too.
That's good stuff. What is that Dabadoo? I saw a couple things about it on Instagram.
So the Dabadoo is this great event for Mila Jansen. She's the hash queen.
Okay, yeah.
And she started it, and I was part of the one in San Francisco. And basically what it is a competition, hash competition. We had 3 categories. We had a rosin, we had a bubble like ice water, and then we had a traditional / temple ball category.
Okay.
And so people enter, and then before we used to give little small samples to everybody, and Sam Jurist from Focus V and Rosin Tech, and he helped put it on with me, and we decided to, instead of doing it the way where everyone got like a 0.1, we were going to have jars where people could get a sample out of the jar. And that would be better. They could grade the visual appeal. They could smell it. They could get so many more things out of seeing a big jar of it. So we had 5-gram jars that basically got passed around, and they got to try all the different entries.
Nice.
And so, yeah. And then we had some awesome winners. It was a great time. We filmed a little documentary, a little mini documentary for YouTube.
Sweet.
You guys should check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, and it's a blast. And so she does those all over the world. And this was the 10-year anniversary this year of San Francisco, which was actually in Oakland. It was still amazing.
Yeah.
Good times. And, you know, it kind of fell together last minute. And sometimes those are the best ones, where it's like, you're not sure if it's going to be good. You're going to do the best you can, and you have a really good team.
Exactly.
And yeah, and those guys, dude, Sam's team is just spectacular. Like, those guys really put on a good show. Even though it was a lot of last minute stuff, it was like nobody knew that it was last minute. It felt very put together, very well produced. I feel like the whole thing was a blast.
I missed this year's Emerald Cup. Yeah, I was really wanting to come out. I just couldn't make it with work.
Yeah, they did in Oakland this year. It was interesting. It was different. So yeah, you got to come out for Reggae on the River.
Okay.
And California Cannafest.
Okay.
That's another fun one.
What time? What part of the year?
So Reggae on the River is in the summer. It's in August, and Cannafest is in September. And Cannafest is in Humboldt, and it's a music event too, where they mix music and cannabis. Reggae on the River, there's cannabis stuff there, but it's very music.
Okay, I got you.
You know, I think they got Royal Gold and some other people there, but yeah, like the music lineup is amazing. The sound system is great. Like, the reggae artists are phenomenal. And, you know, we're in VIP camping. We have a great time. I do a lot of cooking there too.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, it's a blast. And then Cannafest is great because that's in Humboldt, super far away from here. But yeah, it's a trek, but it's, you know, it's a beautiful time of year. It wasn't too hot out there. And yeah, I had a great time. I'm going back next year for sure.
Heck yeah. I'll have to make that trip for sure. You know Kevin and John from Cutting Edge Solutions?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I almost met you back in MJ BizCon last year at their booth, and I missed you.
Oh, yeah. I was at their booth last year for sure.
Yeah, those are some good guys, man.
Yeah.
And then Kevin
Sean and John. Big fan of Sean and John. Yeah, those guys. We do events together and party together, and I love those guys.
I could listen to John forever.
He's great.
Yeah. Sit down with him, and he's just a wealth of knowledge.
He's the best. Yeah, he's the best. He's an OG. I love hanging out with him. He's just a lot of fun. And same thing with Sean. Sean is like, we had a blast with Sean at Reggae on the River and hanging out on the river. You know, Sean's just, he's a lot of fun and he's smart. And I love, he's like the next generation coming in. If you look at John and then we got Sean, you know, right behind John. And he's just, it's great having people like that in the industry that care so much and that are not all about the money. They see the value in the quality, right?
Exactly.
Quality of nutrients, quality of what they're doing. And it stems over to everything else, the quality of their friends, the quality of the food they like, the events they go to. It's just, those are the kind of people we need more of in the industry.
I couldn't agree more. Definitely. So, yeah. And they make some good nutrients.
They do. They do. I mean, yeah, they're great people and they make good nutrients. We're fortunate that there's a ton of people in this industry that care. Slowly but surely they've gone away, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
it's
I think there's a lot of big business and there's a lot of people that still care. And it's been tough. As a cultivator, it's tough right now. It's tough to compete. So you really have to focus on quality of your product, right? I think that's the most important thing. I know you do because I smoked your product. Yeah. So it's like,
I mean, we have to in the CBD world, you know, it's like, it doesn't get you high. So it's got to taste good. It's got to smoke good. So we focus on quality above everything.
Yeah. I think the visual appeal of your product is great. And some of the packaging, like you did some packaging with, you did the Mac 1 with Cap.
Yeah.
And you got the little hats on the jars. And I'm like, this is.
I brought you on.
Totally. Yeah. It's awesome. I love that. I love that side of the industry where you can be creative and it still is functional. And you know, I'm sure Cap loves it. He's great. Yeah. I still got to get him on my show.
Yeah. He's incredible, man. That guy is a character. He's like, once we started selling them, you know, across the country, he's like, man, this is historic for me, you know, because I mean, and it makes sense being in the hemp industry, we can sell all over. And for him, his brand is California based, and to have it go all over the country, I'm sure that was a really good surprise for him.
For sure. He's another one that cares.
Oh yeah. He's super passionate.
And anybody who says that Cap doesn't care, they don't know Cap, because in 2017 at Emerald Cup, he wore his little disguise and he had the longest line. There was probably a 400-foot long line to meet him. And he spent time with every single person.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody else who does that on that level that is out there and wants to spend time with the people that want to talk to him.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, when you get to a certain level, they act like they're better than other people. And I'm not naming any names or specifically talking about any one person, but a lot of people, they start getting this celebrity status or whatever, and they start feeling like they're a celebrity. And really, we're just all the same.
Yeah.
Right? We're just all people trying to do our job. And none of us are special. I think if we can get over that whole thing that we're not special, we're just here to do what we're here to do. And if you can get over that thing, then you can really do amazing things in this world.
I know. And it just cracks me up that he still hides his character. Like, there's not many people in this world that you can't find the face for the name. You know what I mean? And it's just, he's like Willy Wonka in a way.
Oh yeah. It's part of his image, right? And so,
I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got his Mac 1 and he's, you know, I think we wrote a case study in the book with the Mac 1. And I thought that was extremely valuable as a partial triploid, a natural partial triploid.
Yeah.
You can't really breed with it very well.
No.
It's an interesting cultivar, and it is a beautiful plant.
Yeah.
You know, above all.
It really is. Like, I've grown many plants, and that one's like 1 in a million. It's just so different. And just and you're right. Like, I have a pretty good story about the Mac 1. I tried reversing it. It's probably like 6-8 months ago before I knew that it wasn't really good as far as
good luck
pollinating. Yeah. So I took 22 of my best strains in the building, my favorite ones, pollinated all of them. And then after they're done, I found 10 seeds. Out of those 10 seeds, 1 sprouted. And I'm growing that one in at my house right now and hoping, crossing my fingers, like it's a good one. And it's turning out to be decent, but you know. It's just so hard. I didn't realize how hard it was to
pollinate. And it probably self-pollinate. It's not even.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's like,
exactly.
That would be the funniest thing ever. Is that you go, there's no Mac in it.
I know,
and that happens. And it's just one of those things. But it's a good learning experience. All these things are good learning experiences.
Exactly.
What do you do for your reversals? For your reversal spray?
So we use is it sodium thiosulfate?
STS?
Yeah, and then
sodium thiosulfate with silver nitrate.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
It's nice.
And we spray them. I do it 3 times a day until they're basically start producing male flowers.
3 times a day. And you use a very mild concentration.
It's let's see, what was it? Like 100 milliliters to about 500 milliliters, something like that.
Yeah.
So 1 to 5 maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, I believe so.
Everybody has their own recipes. There's a good recipe in my book from Khalifa Genetics. I didn't include a STS recipe that was my own for liability purposes. I use a nano silver myself.
Okay.
That really works well for me, and my friend Tim Humiston makes it. It's awesome stuff. But everyone has their own way, and there's several ways to block ethylene in the plant so you can get a good reversal.
Yeah.
It's all about trying different things and figuring out the one that works for you. There's some that are like one and done. You spray it right when you flip. Boom, you have some male flowers, right? And you have pollen sacs. And I've experimented with some different stuff, and I keep going back to the same thing. I like the way it reverses the plant. I feel like it's super healthy, and I get these crazy reversals where they do dump a lot. Different than regular pollen. In regular pollen, you can one little plant will pollinate a whole room. You can make 100,000 seeds.
Yeah.
More than 100,000 seeds with one male.
It's crazy.
And one female, you probably, it's 5 to 1, but it just depends on the cultivar. Some reverse real easily, some reverse a lot. They're harder to reverse.
Yeah, I'm finding that out as well. Yeah. No plant's the same when it comes to that.
No, and you have to almost have a specific SOP for each cultivar. Some of them I found that you have to start spraying a lot earlier on, and other ones you could probably start spraying the day before flower, and you're going to get a reversal just fine.
So you're just spraying one time?
No. I start 2 weeks before.
Okay.
On certain cultivars, if they're really hard, I start 2 weeks before. If I know the plant and I know that I can do it in 1 week, because a lot of them I'll do that, and you can start a week before and then you go until you see flowers. But a lot of time you start 2 weeks before. With the nano silver, I get the results I'm looking for.
I gotcha.
And then if you're introducing them into other plants, you basically flip your donors 2 weeks before your receivers.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not always. I've had them where you flip them the same time and they come out perfect. Certain cultivars, basically, they'll produce male flowers a lot quicker and then they dump quicker. But I like short pollen windows, so I try to keep them separate, intermingle the plants, and do that with as short of a window as possible so the seeds are as even as possible.
So when you introduce them to a female, say you're dealing with an early finisher, like 56 days, is there a certain day, I guess you could say, or days, like what? Okay, so like a 70-day plant, would you still introduce it around day 21? Or
sure, day 21 to 28. It just depends on...
like the bud size, maybe?
It depends on the bud size. It depends on how developed it is. Certain things... You may have to wait a little bit longer, longer flowering, but then some of the longer flowering ones finish faster when you pollinate them.
Okay.
Right. And so, but you have to wait until you have a substantial amount of bracts and you have the pistils that'll pull that pollen.
Okay.
So it's all very unique to each individual cultivar. You can generalize and say, okay, the 3.5 weeks on day 25, that's when you introduce your pollen. And I also love having redundancies. The other thing is having a jar of pollen along with those reversals, because those reversals don't always go as planned.
Yeah.
So having backup pollen is one of the most important things with breeding as a redundancy.
It's a good call.
And a lot of people, you learn that from fucking up. And
exactly.
That's how I learned it. I learned it from fucking up.
Yeah.
Because I tried to reverse some stuff that didn't reverse well, and then I get good reversals. But I think redundancies are one of the most important things when you're doing stuff like breeding.
I gotcha. So speaking of, this is totally off topic, but speaking of like early finishing, I read somewhere about flowering 11 hours on and 13 hours off and then finishing earlier. Have you ever heard anything like that? Is that just some bro science?
No, there might be some truth to that. I don't know.
Like equatorial varieties, apparently, if you flower them 11 on and 13 off, they finish
You can definitely
faster.
get them to trigger faster. I know for a fact.
That makes sense.
So like with triggering them faster, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, but definitely like the longer flowering, sometimes they don't want to flip. Like so these 16-week varieties, if you're doing them indoors, you might have to do a few things. So sometimes it's lowering the light down to 8 or 10 hours, and then they're only getting 8 or 10 hours of light and the rest is darkness. And then also basically changing your temperatures. So your daytime temp, there's a bigger swing between daytime and nighttime temp. Okay. That helps. And if nothing else, you can go hit them with some PK.
I got you.
Yeah.
And that'll get them going.
Yeah. Avoid the nitrogens, hit them with some PK, and you can foliar them. That works really well. And those are like the 3 things I would say if you're trying to get them to flip faster, if you're making seeds.
Okay. All right. Good tips.
Yeah. I mean, those are just trial and error. You know, I've had friends give me advice and tried it, and it seems to work pretty good. So yeah, and I like longer flowering varieties. You know, my buddy Dave from Budgelero, he's kind of got me back on the path of longer flowering is good. And I'm like, you're right. Longer flowering is good. It's also stronger a lot of times, but stronger can be good too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's not always stronger. Sometimes it's like these ones, they lift you up and then you just stay there, you know, but you feel good. It's not like stronger, like heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I'm not really big into the anxiety weed.
I can't stand it. Like, and I got friends that tell me, I'm like, I can't stand that one. They're like, that's the one I want.
Some people love that.
They love it.
The heart racers.
I'm like, I got heart issues as it is. I don't need to be, you know, faking myself out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel you. And I like some of the upside, you know, sativas. I do like, you know, I do like a good sativa. I like the strawberry cough.
I love the strawberry cough.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, as far as like effect, it's like a stronger blue dream.
Yeah,
we've talked about it with Kyle Cushman on the show. It's a good one. It's like a stronger blue dream, but it has that uplifting effect where you feel really good.
Yeah, it's like borderline panic attack for me.
It is, but it's not. It's like right under. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas some of the super silver haze, if you dab some super silver haze, that can get you your heart racing really good.
Yeah. I think Tangy might have been the strongest sativa. I don't even know if it's sativa, but as far as panic attacks go.
Really?
I tried that back in, it was probably 2016 in Denver.
Interesting, because I've never got, I felt like Tangy wasn't always as strong for me.
Really?
Yeah, but it's depending on when you harvest it too. That could be like, okay, they took it friggin' 2 weeks past where you'd normally harvest it. That'll give you panic attacks.
Yeah.
That'll totally give you panic attacks.
Yeah.
Autoflower will do that too. If you go like 90 days on autoflower to try to get it to yield more, or you feel like it's going to produce more and you just watch it and you should have harvested on day 65, it's going to be way stronger, typically.
You think it's because it converts maybe to...
It does, and sometimes they go up and you're getting more Delta-9 probably.
That makes sense.
But also, you know, it changes the whole cannabinoid profile, terpene profile, and with the entourage effect, it can be, you know, especially going like a week longer, sometimes it can go up and then drop, right? But a lot of times I feel like that's where you can get Delta-9 in too, especially in the flower, is if you go longer with it.
Exactly.
You know, if you harvest it earlier, it's going to be hemp, but all these hemp varieties, almost all of them, if you go longer with them, they're going to turn into Delta-9
They'll
THC.
start converting.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Right? They'll all
100%.
get like, they'll all go past that 0.3% threshold. Yeah. There's nothing that won't go past it. And that's why it's so hard for the government to make rules and regulations around it, because it's like, dude, like if you harvest it, you have this harvest window and you test it a month before, it's hard to say what could happen. You know, it's like, and it's just so hard to actually put it into numbers on a piece of paper where it's like, okay, these are the rules for this reason, because every situation doesn't fit.
Exactly. And every plant's different.
Every plant's so different.
Like I've done thousands of tests, COAs, looked at them. I mean, that's what we have to do in our industry. And certain plants you can take all the way to term, like Mac 1, for example. Yeah. And then just do an early test when it's not all the way cured out, and you'll get a compliant test. Yeah. Whereas Dante's Inferno, I believe, is another one. You could even take that a little early, but it's going to fail every time just because the Delta-9 spikes.
Donnie Burger.
One. Yeah.
We don't have Donnie Burger around here because it's like one of those ones that just test dirty. It'll test past that 0.3 threshold from the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, so, and there's nothing. I love Donnie Burger extract. Shout out to Flora and Flame for growing some of the best Donnie Burger and making the best rosin with it. Phenomenal stuff. But that stuff tests hot from the beginning. We don't have it. You know, it's like I do hemp research and development. We keep it out of the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just easier
So I got a question on like drying and curing.
Yeah.
What's your sweet spot? Like when you're drying and what day?
So 60-60 is a rule of thumb, but like sometimes you can go that 60 to 65, as far as for humidity.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think like when you smoke, like when you pulling it down, like I'm I like smoking when it's, mid-teens, like of hanging. Like I don't like waiting too much farther than that.
Well, we usually go 10 days and then we trim it down. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I believe. And it's just depending on the situation, but like around 10 days, but I feel like 14 days, we do a 14-day dry.
That's right? What we do.
Yeah, I think 14 days is the normal dry period. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we'll trim it at day 10, depending on how big the buds are and all the other things. If you're looking for that crack with the stem.
Yeah.
That snap, you want that little
I guess
snap.
what I'm saying is I just like the buzz better when it's early. I think the terpenes and everything.
You mean when you harvest early?
Yeah. So not necessarily harvesting early, but smoking the flower before it's cured out. Some people say 1 month cure, 2 month cure.
Yeah, I mean, so the funniest part, that's great that you brought this up because I've been going back and forth. I do feel like, especially with the Skittles that we've been getting that my friends are growing. So we have cultivation partners, and these guys over at SF Canada are crushing it on a whole nother level. They did some dirt Skittles recently and grown in soil.
Dirt Skittles.
I call it dirt Skittles, but it's just soil grown Skittles, right?
I got you.
But side by side with the cocoa, grown in the same environment with the same nutrition, same lighting, everything else, same flush. And the dirt Skittles was fucking amazing. And the thing is they harvest on day 53, but it's a fresh product. And if you harvest it right correctly, you dry it, cure it, right when it's done after the 2 weeks, that's when it was the best, right?
Yeah.
Week 3, it was still good. Week 4, it was still good. Week 5, it was starting to be not as good, but like literally it's phenomenal. Like that, and that stuff, it's the first time I smoked Skittles where I'm like, damn, this Skittles is strong. And it was so floral that it would coat your teeth, like from a joint.
Nice.
And it's like, I have some of that. We'll smoke some of that later.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome. It's like one of those ones where it's like, and that's when the like connoisseur flower, that it's grown at this level where you can't even get it that good every time you grow it.
Yeah. That's
what's so special. And then like fresh is the best. Terplox are great for preserving it. We got Lance coming on the show soon again. But yeah, I mean, I think there's ways to preserve it where it's good, but the best is that fresh product, especially if you like terps.
Yeah. And I just feel like the effects are cleaner and not as heavy, I guess is the word maybe.
And I think it's cultivar specific too.
No doubt. Yeah.
So some of the stuff lasts great for a long time. But the stuff I really like that Z, it's just when it's the freshest, it's the very best.
I don't know if I've ever tried straight Skittles.
It'll change your life.
Like I've grown a lot of your crosses with it.
Yeah.
But I've never actually tried it.
Well, the funny thing is a lot of those traits that you're looking for with the Skittles are recessive. So if you smoke it, like a lot of times in the progeny of the seeds that are crossed with it, you're not going to get it right out the gate. You have to do work with the breeding. And like some of the back crosses have some of the Skittle stuff where it's skittly, but then the Skittles has the shitty structure. All right. So it's always the ones that look the worst where you're like, no, that's not a good one. But then you're like, fuck, it smells good. So yeah, it's like, there's so many times where you go through the room and you're like, that's the one. It looks like the one, but then you got to smell it. And we go through rounds for pheno hunting. We go through the rounds on the plant where we're like smelling them, we're looking them. And a lot of times the ones that look the best aren't the ones that smell the best. It's just that trade-off.
Yeah.
And then once you dry and cure them and then you have them in the bag, that's the real test, right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, let's line them all up and let's smoke them and compare them.
Isn't that so much fun?
It's
my favorite thing.
It's totally amazing.
It's like Christmas every day.
I love it where it all lines up where it's like, fuck, it looks amazing, smells amazing, tastes amazing. It checks all these boxes and it's like, wow. And you go through 600 plants and you might find 60 things that are worthy. And then you might find 5 or 6 of those that are pretty standoutish that you want to keep running. And so it's funny with pheno hunting.
So when you pheno hunt, what's your typical seed? Like how many do you usually do per variety?
It depends. It's every year we're doing different. We're doing tons of stuff outdoors. We're doing stuff in different places. I've been working in the Caribbean now. And so next year we're going to be doing some variety testing and pheno study down there to see what actually performs the best. And I'm excited about that too, because now we're looking at, more of a tropical type climate where it's high humidity.
Yeah.
So stuff that has powdery mildew resistance and botrytis resistance, it's going to stand out a lot.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Anytime you're in that humid environment that's warm, it's like that's just a recipe for ruining your OG Kush.
And that's basically the opposite of what y'all have here pretty much, isn't it?
It's the opposite in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to dry and cure and store the flower correctly in those places. It's totally possible, right? But you need a controlled environment to do it. You can't just do it in a hut. No. You have to spend some money, you have to take some time, and you have to do it correctly.
Yeah.
And I think St. Vincent and the Grenadines is this amazing place, and they have this really amazing opportunity within the cannabis space to impact the quality of life for the people there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being, supervised by the government. They're very supportive of medical cannabis.
Nice.
And it's like great when you go to the government and they're like, how can we help our people? Instead of you guys are just annoying.
Exactly.
Because over here, we're just more or less annoying to the government. We're not going away. They know we're not going away, but we're more like this thorn in the side of the government.
Yeah.
Whereas, they wish we could go away.
Like a redheaded stepchild.
Oh, absolutely. Whereas, down in some of these places in the Caribbean, and not to say there's bad people in the government or there's not people that care, because there is.
Yeah.
Right. But down in the Caribbean, the government, and they have the Medical Cannabis Authority, the MCA, and they are very, very supportive of medical cannabis and how can we make our people healthier? How can we take this plant and use it as medicine? And I feel like they all recognize that the island was built on the shoulders of cannabis growers, and how can we support our traditional growers as well? And so there's this different mindset down there, and I love that. I love the support by the government and the people in the government that talk so highly of cannabis.
That's beautiful. You don't see that very many places,
No, and I think a lot of politicians are afraid because they're going to lose votes,
right?
And so that's got to change. And slowly but surely, there's guys that we're not young anymore, but there's guys that are young coming up that have very positive outlooks. And I feel like slowly the old guys that are anti are going away, and it's becoming normalized. And it's not normalized fully, but it's definitely becoming more normalized.
Yeah. Still blows my mind. It's 2025 almost.
I know.
I'm still in an illegal state.
Dude, and then places like Texas, I never thought it would be legal, and they got CBD shops everywhere and they're selling flower everywhere. It's wild.
That was something else I noticed in Prague when I was out there. They had these cannabis shops all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's only 1%, but it's not really regulated. So it's kind of like a Wild West out there. It's just like a free for all.
Totally.
But it's all the same flower too. And it's all basic garbage.
Well, and these are steps to getting it normalized.
Yeah.
Right. And so, even though in the Caribbean, the flower that I saw for the most part was not that great.
Mm-hmm.
And also controlling the temperature and humidity when you're storing it, and, like people carrying around, showing people and using it. It's like every time you open that jar, you get humidity in the flower and all of a sudden your terps are gone.
Yep.
And you're left with something, and a lot of it's sun grown and not grown with proper nutrition typically. And so you're not getting a super resinous product anyway, but some of it was good and some of it has potential. And I think the whole country has potential. The whole island has potential to do great things.
That is such a neat project, man.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, all we have to do is be right one time. It's like, we're going there to work with the government to do these breeding projects. And I feel like we can go learn a lot about the plant. I can learn a lot more about the plant working there than I could doing stuff here. Right. It's like we can do a lot here too, but I can do it here and do it there at the same time. And, the potential for collaboration with other international brands is huge. I think there's other people that are in the same mindset that we can go in and we can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I love working with people that have that same belief. Like doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be just about money. It can be about making a difference for the people and building the community from the inside.
Exactly.
So,
Getting them the plant medicine,
I'm not going there to sell them seeds that I make here. I want to go there and I want to help them breed seeds so they can create seeds on the island for themselves and infuse that money into the community. And I think that there's so much benefit. I'll get so much benefit out of doing that too. It's like,
oh yeah.
Besides feeling good, besides, feeling and knowing like that's what you're supposed to, like, I feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing here. I know that that's part of my reason that I'm on this planet is to do good things and do things like that.
I agree totally. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like feel like this plant found me in a way, you know. I've been growing for almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
And everything from crawl spaces to attics to basements, you know, wherever I could find a space.
When you're on the right path, you know it. I feel like things start to line up.
Yeah.
And if things aren't lining up, you need to reevaluate your situation and see what you're doing wrong. Mm-hmm. But like when you're doing the right thing, a lot of times things will start lining up for you out of nowhere. All these things are lining up. You know, some of these long shot things are like, wow, this is really coming together. Like
100%.
I was on stage with Marlon Asher at the reggae festival, Cannabis, in front of thousands of people, presenting the head of the Medical Cannabis Authority and presenting for the Minister of Agriculture and other people, presenting an economic plan that could hopefully infuse hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 10 years. And
it's incredible.
Like, yeah, and it's great. And it's like, but it takes more than just presenting them. You know what I mean? It's not like I can just present them and then they're good.
Yeah.
It can't be, here's some seeds. It has to be, okay, here's a game plan. Now, who do I have that's going to help me with this game plan down here? And how are we going to execute this thing?
Yeah, to make it work, you know?
So yeah, and people get excited about that stuff. I feel like just talking to the people, they're excited about it. You know, it's like some of these companies down there too that are already in existence are excited about it.
Yeah. That's one beautiful thing about this plant is it brings people together, you know?
Totally.
And it's like, nobody gets this excited about tomatoes, but cannabis is
tomato farmers did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know any tomato farmers, do you? So, yeah, but I think
actually,
yeah, I've made similar jokes around tomato farmers. They're like, actually, tomato farmers do get this excited about tomatoes, and I get. So I grow heirloom tomatoes, right? Every year, I grow heirlooms in my backyard, and this year was no exception. And we grew some awesome tomatoes. And I get excited to eat heirloom tomatoes. I love fresh heirloom tomatoes that have never been refrigerated. Mm-hmm. You just can't get that quality in the store.
No.
And for me, it's like, I don't know where I'd be without tomatoes.
I know. And not only do they taste so good, but you feel like when you're eating them, it's just so good for you. You know, all the flavors.
Well, and they're so clean. The flavors are so clean and they're sweet and mine aren't very acidic. The heirlooms I get are very flavorful. They're very sweet. There's a little bit of acid, but it's not like when you refrigerate them that you get this acid that comes out of, I can't remember what the chemical is called, but Ryan's going to put it up on the screen for you guys right now. No, but they do use ethylene to ripen.
Yeah. Tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah. But the second you refrigerate them, it creates this chemical compound that changes them.
Okay.
Chemically. And so they have a different flavor.
Oh, I didn't know that. What kind of varieties did you grow?
We do some purple varieties. We do, we always do a cherry. We do, Comanche, I believe it's called.
Okay.
We do, and then we do like a hybrid beef steak, but typically it's heirlooms.
Have you ever done Cherokee Purple?
Cherokee Purple. That's what we do.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a really good one. That's actually out from where I'm from, out in North Carolina.
That's a good one. So those are great, and they grow in most places, and they yield pretty good. I think they've been around forever, and I think they're one of the most flavorful too. And if you do them with a little bit of burrata, a little bit of fresh basil that you grow on your own property, some fresh olive oil and some fresh balsamic, I could eat that every day.
I know.
So yeah, and then you're in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. You are expanding to Europe too.
We are because the THCA market here that we created kind of like 2 or 3 years ago. Since then, the CBD market for flower has kind of gone downhill in the U.S. So being that's all we can grow in Tennessee at our 2 facilities, we had to branch out. And so I've been focused on finding other outlets for our flower.
Yeah.
And fortunate enough, we have in the last 6 months. I went to London for a expo out there, met some people, and then slowly but surely, I don't know if it was the Emerald Cup wins or what, but in the last 6 months, Flow Gardens has developed quite traction out in the UK especially, but also in Europe. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're trying, man. We're just trying. It's a family-based business. My mom works there, you know. My sister runs the other facilities. So
that's the best.
Trying to keep everybody fed and going.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
No, a lot of people don't understand. It's not all roses.
No, we're starting up another facility up in Virginia where we can grow the THCA. Nice. Because they're starting to change the laws in Tennessee now.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's tough. It's like, if you don't like roller coasters, you don't need to be in this industry because it's all over.
It is. And if you don't like stress, I feel like, that's just also owning a business. There's always stress. You got to,
of course,
be the master of stress.
But not having a clear runway is the worst.
Yeah.
You're basically just every month navigating.
Well, then they keep moving the needle and it's like, okay, you're compliant. And then you got to do this new thing to be compliant again.
100%.
And keep on, and I mean, that's just part of the business.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be like that.
Exactly.
And it's a volatile business. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I love the plant so much. There's no way I could ever think about doing anything else at this point.
Well, it's great when you can wake up in the morning and be excited to work even when it's stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It never gets old. Like I said, every day is like Christmas. You know?
And there's always something new to learn, and shit breaks every day.
Yeah.
Problems. There's always
floods.
Floods. You guys get floods. Yeah. I mean,
we're known as flood gardens half the time.
Oh, man.
It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. And well, how's power out there? Is it expensive?
It's not that bad. We're out in the country. I'm wanting to throw out a number. I think it's like 11 cents a kilowatt or something.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Not as cheap as Washington. Some areas in Washington are like, I think 7 or 9 cents.
Yeah.
But even still, that's just so cheap compared to here.
Yeah. It's definitely, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like San Francisco is super expensive. We went out to dinner last night and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like $20 for a salad. Okay.
Yeah. And it's about that big.
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah, and the food's good. I mean, it's all there. And I feel like that's the thing with food though. There's a price point for everybody. You want to go spend $100 on a salad? I know a spot.
Yeah.
For that same small salad. Well, not same. It's going to be different. Probably less ingredients, more organic, and $100.
And $100.
Yeah. And that's just the salad.
Jeez.
Yeah. The bread is probably $20.
So you were a chef, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was a chef for years, on and off. And I mean, I still cook. I still cook for my friends. So much more fun cooking for your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a cannabis chef. I don't do the infused dinners. It's never been my thing. I just because I prefer smoking and eating.
Me too.
And I'm not big on putting a whole bunch of THC in my dinner so that I'm high an hour and a half later.
Exactly.
Like that just doesn't, for me, it doesn't appeal to me. Putting terpenes in or frying some fan leaves, that sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Some deep fried fan leaves.
Yeah, never tried that.
Panko crusted fan leaves. I mean, sure. Or even just frying them crisp. Like there's all kinds of cool things you can do with cannabis that I think would be great. But as far as infusing dinners aren't my thing.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So
I'm a lightweight when it comes to edibles. So.
I love rosin gummies. I love the taste.
I've had some of those before. I think they're from out here. I had them gifted to me. They were delicious.
Rosin Tech they did these white thorn rose ones, and it's like they added no flavor. It was the flavor of the terpenes, and it was that white thorn rose that was just.
So can you tell me a little bit about that? I've heard so much about that strain. Like, what's the flavor on it?
Well,
I've been dying to try it.
So yeah, it's unique. It's got like a nice floral character, but it's like, it's not just the flavor that makes it so special. It's floral, it's vanilla, it's purple flower,
it's
right?
It's a gorgeous plant.
It's a gorgeous looking plant. It's about the effect. It's special. It's beyond special because I call it feel good weed. You can call it whatever you want, but for me, it's that one I could smoke in the morning, the afternoon, the evening. I can smoke it when I'm in a good mood. I can smoke it when I'm in a bad mood, and it still makes me feel good. And I feel like if more people were able to try it, they would all like cannabis. Like I feel like some people, they might get a bad experience because they got too high or whatever. This is not one of those things. You don't necessarily get too high, but you get the right high. You get the right effect.
Yeah.
And there's only a handful of things I've experienced in my life that have that, where it's like you smoke it and you feel amazing.
Almost like euphoric.
It's almost euphoric, but you just feel really, really good. And you're not tight behind the eyes. You're not, your face isn't tight in any way, shape, or form. It relaxes you. If anything, you feel really relaxed and you feel happy. And I think the world needs more of that.
100%. I agree.
And there's nothing wrong with the anxiety weed. There's somebody who likes it. There's definitely people who like that stuff.
Yeah.
But, and the further along we get with these breeding projects that people are doing, I think the more we discover what's out there, and there's people that are prioritizing effect. I think there are a lot of people that prioritize the way it tastes or the way it looks, but a lot of people need to go back to that effect. How does it make you feel?
I agree totally. Because I've had vinos like that were just, beautiful, but the effects just weren't there, so therefore I don't put that one in production.
Yeah.
It has to have that feel, like you said, the feel good.
We don't need another Oreos. Like that just looks good, doesn't taste great. Purple Punch, same thing. It's like I'm super anti Purple Punch. But again, these things are one step away from being great. You just need to be worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Purple Punch makes some great crosses that have great effect. Mm-hmm. But as far as by itself, like these things where we call them cardboard terps.
Yeah, cardboard terps.
You fire it up and it's like you almost taste flavor. And then like for Oreos, it's just not a good flavor. I don't enjoy the flavor. I love the way it looks. I think it looks great. It's great Instagram flower.
Yeah, just muted. Nothing special.
Yeah, nothing special. Nothing special about the effect or about the way it tastes.
I'm growing some ice block from Third Coast. It's Oreos and Blockberry.
Blockberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Blockberry is pretty good. It's got some special traits.
Super vigorous plants, like huge fan leaves.
Yeah.
Haven't tried it yet. We just harvested a couple plants last week, they're good. It's real like punch breath. Have you tried that one before? It's just like fruit punch overtones. Really good.
I don't think I've tried punch breath.
Another one, Cadillac Rainbows. I've
never had Cadillac Rainbows.
God,
it sounds cool.
It smells like garlic and onions, and it just fills the room. It's probably the most pungent flower I've smelled in a while. That's a good one.
Nice.
But once again, anxiety.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. And there's so many directions you can go with effect too. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not either a sedative or a stimulant. It's not just, people box them in these things, indica, sativa. It's like, no, there's all these different effects.
Exactly.
Some give you the munchies like crazy. Like there's specific things I've been dieting, right? And I lost a bunch of weight. There's things I cannot smoke. There's specific cultivars that grown by my friends. I love the way they taste. I love the way they smoke, but then they make me want to go
clear out the fridge.
Like literally raid the fridge at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I can't do that. I can't do those ones. And some of I think GDP is the one, it's one of those ones that always made me hungry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I prefer the other, but then I got this boost pen that's THCV. I don't know if you're growing any THCV.
A little bit, not really though.
So there's this pen that my friends gave me from House of Cultivar, and it's this new THCV pen, and it's got some other stuff in it too, other cannabinoids, specific terpenes, and it made me have. Not only did it make me have anxiety, but it definitely didn't make me hungry. It made me feel sick, and I was thinking it was something else that was making me sick. I thought maybe I was getting sick. My stomach was twisting. And literally went in the bathroom and like dry heaved a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I felt better after a little bit. And then I went and took another hit and I'm like, fuck, it's the pen.
It's the damn pen.
It's the pen. This thing's wild. And it's like, it's a weight loss pen. So they've got this pen. And I think probably I was hitting it. Like I was trying to feel better when my stomach was upset. So I'm hitting it more thinking that it's going to help. And it was actually making me feel sicker.
That's crazy.
Right. And I don't think it has that effect. And that's the other thing with cannabis is there's like this effect that because our body chemistries are so different, like how it affects me and how it affects you could be completely two different things.
I know. It's wild. 20 years from now, hopefully they'll have all that figured out. You know what I mean? Once they can do some research.
Yeah. There's
so much to it.
But there's that feel good weed where I think most people with the white thorn rose, there is the Blue 13 from Dave Mesford. We're going to get those seeds on my site. So by the time you guys are watching this podcast, the Blue 13 seeds from Dave Mesford will be on the site. They'll be available, jameslightgenetics.com.
Nice.
And it gives you, it's that feel good. It's that feel good effect.
Okay.
And I feel like sometimes it's like that for me, but not for my friends, right? They don't get that same effect. But this stuff, person after person after person gets that same like, wow, this stuff makes me feel really good. Then you know you're onto something.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So do you know what that cross is? The B13?
Yeah. So the Blue 13 is Blueberry Haze times King Louis the 13th from Kevin Jodry.
Ooh, okay.
And Dave Mesford passed away on 4/20. Gifted me as the steward of his seed collection. We are going to slowly be releasing his seeds on our website. His kids benefit from the seeds.
Beautiful.
It's another good, he was a good friend. He's a good guy. Took photos of me back in the day. We became friends over that. And he passed on 4/20. He was the weed aficionado guy who loved flower, loved cannabis. Sad. He lost a battle to cancer.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. As you get older, more and more people you experience losing their lives to cancer, unfortunately.
One more reason why we do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big tobacco smoker. One of my friends died of esophageal cancer, and that got me off tobacco for the most part.
Yeah.
I'll smoke a good cigar every once in a while, but I'm not a cigarette smoker. Can't do it. Even when I'm drinking, I won't smoke cigarettes.
See, I used to, and that's what it was. My crutch when I was drinking, I'd want to smoke a cigarette. You know, finally got past that.
Yeah, I mean, I got off most of the drinking. I very rarely drink. I got a bunch of clean and sober guys in my circle. Rue, he's another one from Texas. He's a good influence on me. He doesn't drink.
Yeah, that's good to have.
Him and El Canisaur, those guys are both sober.
Nice.
You know, it's great having guys that are sober. You know, because it's one of those things, peer pressure or whatever. But when you're in a circle of friends and everybody drinks and you're the guy that doesn't drink, a lot of times it's harder. Sometimes it's easy if you have a medical condition or something like that. But if you don't, it's like, oh, well, what's a beer going to do? Or what's this going to do? For me, it's like about health, and I'm trying to like lose more weight. I feel like I've lost a bunch. I still have a bunch to go.
Yeah, I love that. The older we get, we have to focus on that, you know?
Dude, health.
You can't eat cheeseburgers all day anymore.
No. Health is wealth, although I do love a good smash burger.
No doubt.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But then you got to watch out for gout when you get older.
Yeah.
Right? That's the other thing. Gout will kill you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's funny. It's like you can't win for losing.
I know. Yeah, we can try.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. So, if you had one thing that you could tell your younger self, what would that one thing be?
Just be patient and know you're going to fail and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah. I've done it my whole life, and I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to you right now, and I'm in the hemp space. You know, it's crazy. So
it's a beautiful thing that the hemp space is a thing. It's even possible. It's like, before 2018, it wasn't even possible.
No.
And then even 2008 was rocky for the first couple of years.
It was weird. Like that's when I started, was around 2017. I remember them passing it in 2018, and all my people were like, yeah, you know, but we still at that point didn't even fathom THCA being a thing. You know, we were just glad to sell the CBD under 0.3, and how it's evolved. It's kind of funny to sit back and look at it now. You know, it's just.
Well, and then Delta 8 got wild for a minute. That stuff is like
garbage. Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, I think the Delta 8 by itself as a molecule is just fine. I think that the problem is people take their shit and they process their shit into Delta 8 because they can't do anything else with it.
Right.
And so then they have the shit distillate Delta 8.
Yeah.
And then they put that in gummies and all these other things. It's like, but by itself, Delta 8 is a great molecule. Like as far as the effect, it's a fifth as strong as Delta 9 THC. I think it has value, but I think that we're not focusing on it in the right ways.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I took a gummy once of Delta 8 and it hit extremely hard. It was great. Giggling like the first time you ever were high.
Yeah.
And then the hangover set in. And it basically the next day I just felt like garbage. And that was just my experience.
Yeah, I'm big on like the 25 milligram Delta 8s that I know where the Delta 8 was sourced through a reliable source. And I felt good from Delta 8. I feel like it's very mild and it helps me sleep, whereas Delta 9, I cannot sleep on Delta 9 for myself. Right. Or I can, but it's after I've been high for a bunch and then I crash.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I like the mild effect of Delta 8. But there's so many other cannabinoids that are great.
Yeah.
So THCA is a good one.
It is.
CBG I like CBG a lot.
I have a great CBG variety. It's like 19%.
I need that so bad.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I need that for smoking for myself.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'll send you some.
I have not found super terpy CBG. No. I've yet to find stuff that's really terpy that holds high levels of CBG, but I think that's on the project list for the next couple of years.
I worked on it for a minute doing different CBGs. I tried crossing them with THC and then didn't realize that all the CBG would just convert over because it's a stem cell. But I did finally find this particular pheno CBG. We named it White Cheddar because it had a terpene profile, not a crazy one, but probably the only one I've ever found. And it does smell kind of like white cheddar popcorn.
Yeah.
Great effects though. It's like a cup of coffee or something. Very good. Yeah, I'll definitely send you some.
Yeah, I'm all about that caffeine weed too, as long as it doesn't make my heart race.
Exactly. Yeah. No, this one doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's good to mix with other flowers as well. So.
Well, it's interesting because like rosin, I can smoke rosin first thing in the morning. I'm super clear headed and I go to the gym and I work out and I feel great and I don't feel high. Mm-hmm. But if I was to smoke a big joint right before I go to the gym, I'm not as motivated to work out hard for whatever reason.
Maybe it's the smoke. Maybe it
could be, but it could be the smoke, could be my lungs. Maybe. I don't know, but like one good dab and I feel like I'm on.
Nice. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it's the way to go. Yeah. We got our, dude. So like this thing right here, this is the Erich for Focus V with the new atomizer.
Okay.
This thing's great.
Is that a flower? Is that dry?
Nope. This is rosin extract.
Okay.
Yeah. This is my rosin. Instead of a rosin cart, we now have a mini dab rig that you can go. It's super portable.
Nice.
There's a handful of them on the market that are good. You know,
my buddy has packs, I think.
Packs,
They came out with a little small one.
Yeah. I mean, then there's like Dip Device has this flower one too. We'll show this on the show. Give these guys a shout out. And it's like a volcano in a pen. Ooh. Just kind of cool. Like nice. If you're all about that old school volcano.
Yeah. I actually have a venti from Stores in Bickle that I use.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
And this is more convenient. This is just like pack and go. Mm-hmm. Super easy.
I like the size of it too. Very convenient.
Yeah, but the temperature control of this thing is great. That's what I love about it. Temperature control, and it's like having a dab rig without the water.
Okay.
Which I don't need water for my dabs, but I love this, and I can sit in the car right when I go into the gym, take a nice fat one.
Exactly.
And feel great.
Start your day.
It's a great way to start the day. I think good rosin too is like, it makes me super clear-headed, especially if I'm doing something in repetition, like I'm lifting weights, then I can really focus on the muscles that I'm trying to target.
Nice.
Or the cardio, and I can get into the music and not have to worry about my feet moving or whatever, you know?
Nice. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So as far as breeding, you're making seeds now. You have some available on your website?
Yeah. So we have mostly type 2 seeds, some type 3 seeds, and then a couple type 1 seeds. So I mainly focus on type 2 seeds, breeding a CBD genetic and then a THC genetic together. I'm getting a lot of different profiles. And for me, I feel like the effects are really clear-headed, no anxiety, no paranoia. So the people that are THC sensitive, these type 2s are kind of where it's at.
Really cool. You got to get on some of these distribution websites.
Definitely. I'm not quite there, but we're getting there. Yeah.
North Atlantic. Big shout out to North Atlantic. Thank you guys for carrying my seeds. I'm a big fan of North Atlantic Seed Company, the seed distributor.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check them out.
So if people are interested in finding more about you, where would they go?
They can go to our website, flowgardens.com, or our Instagram, flowgardens420. And we also have a Facebook, flowgardens420. You can check us out. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We'll have to do this again. Hopefully, I'll see you at all these events next year. Definitely. Looking forward to it. Awesome. And thanks again for having me, James. I really appreciate it. For sure. And if you're looking for James Loud Genetics in flower form, Flow Garden. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below.